My gosh, Kaguya-sama Love is War is back with ultra romantic. And I cannot figure out why this show keeps hitting hard. I think I had the same problem with the last season when it started up. I'm like, okay, let's go back to Kaguya-sama. It's probably not as good as I remember it being. And then sure enough, boom, it just starts hitting and you're going, holy crap, this show is so good. But this is my first impressions on the first episode of Ultra Romantic, so let's jump right into it. To give a quick synopsis for those that have never checked out Kaguya-sama Love is War, which I definitely suggest you do, essentially follows two people that are mainly the heads of the student council president, the president Shirogane and the vice president Shinomiya. And the thing about this couple is that they both seem to really love each other, but their pride is kind of in the way. They don't really feel like they should be the one that confesses, so they're constantly trying to push each other until eventually the other one will confess their love, and that way they can finally have a relationship. And you kind of throw in other characters like Fujiwara, who's just an absolute goofball. You have the accountant Ishigami, who's just kind of more of a nerd. And then later on, I think in the second season at some point, they introduced Ino, who is kind of the one that was one to go against them, but eventually joins them as well. And kind of the interesting flavor that's always kind of given to the show is obviously the best character of the show, which is the narrator. Every single situation that both Shirogane and Shinomiya get into is this kind of competition between the two of them, and the narrator always kind of has a way of really hyping it up, really turning it into something more grandiose and epic than a simple situation, and I'll get more into that with this particular episode in a minute. But it's just always been really fantastic. It's a series that has always had that formula of really introducing some sort of competition and then having those grandiose presentation of it, the narrator going crazy about it, and then basically having the result at the end. And yes, they'll have these little times where they get more closer romantic moments between the characters, and even having some side stories for characters like Ishigami, but for the most part, it's always that formula, and like I said before, it always works. Like, it never gets old. And like I said, getting into this season, Ultra Romantic, like I said, fantastic first episode, and like I said, it just kind of re-sparked that love that I've had for this series, and I always will probably have that love for this series. It's just so well presented, like top notch. Like A1 Pictures, you pull it off. Like every time, the director, everybody, you pull it off every single time, and I can't get enough of it. And like I said, I think that like 90% of that is just the narrator. He just does it. I mean, okay, so one of these jokes in this episode kind of basically revolves around the concept of Line, which is a messaging system that is very popular in Japan. It's sort of like any other messaging system that you'll find anywhere else, that it has this process that will give receipts when something is read. So if you open up your phone, you go to your messaging, and you go to look at somebody's message, it sends a receipt to them saying, this is read. Now, granted, some have ways of turning that off, and that's sort of something that comes into play when Shinomiya has her first phone, and she gets into Line. She has her Line debut, and she's receiving texts from everybody, including Shirogane. And she quickly opens it and sees that. And then she literally waits, and she won't respond to it. And the entire time, Hayasaka, her maid, is going, I need to tell her. Like, I need to tell her that he knows she read it. And that and he's probably wondering why she's not responding. And she's talking about how, I'll act like I never read it. I'll act like I just read it. And she's like, I can't tell her. And like I said, that's the beauty of this writer and the narrator and the presentation of this, is that it's such a stupid concept. It's such a stupid and very minuscule concept, but it's presented in such a grandiose way that it becomes this inner struggle of minds. Hayasaka just struggling over if she's going to tell Shinomiya this whole aspect. Shinomiya just, again, in her own mind, thinking that she's going to pull one over on Shirogane. And then on the other end, Shirogane is just struggling over her doing this. And then when Shirogane realizes that she's been lying this whole time, he tries to pull the rug out from under her, and then Shinomiya having to call for help, essentially. And then having to pull out some BS thing about, oh, well, the messaging system's on this computer. It's so golden, and it's so good. It's just, so many shots are fantastic. The animation is so great how they present it. It's great. Yeah, the whole scenario with Ino not fully plugging in her headphone jack, and going from like very ambient stuff to camel noises to construction work to like this whole boy group basically chirping in her ear about how beautiful she is and how she's doing a great job. And the entire time, Ishigami hears it and he doesn't know what to say. And then everybody starts coming in. He tries to cover for her. It was so nice. He was trying to cover for her, drop some hints for her. She doesn't accept it. Then, yeah, full on embarrassment. Everybody walks home in shame, pretty much. It's so good. And the other scenario with Fujiwara coming in and basically challenging Ishigami to arm wrestling, there was a few points in there I got a huge chuckle. I think the last part was the best part, but I think for the most part, it was just kind of just Fujiwara being a goofball. It wasn't really nothing in there that was really solid, but I did get a kick out of the ending part, having Shirogane and Shinomiya basically both not wanting to let go of their hand. And then she realizes she's sweating and then freaks out. That was good. Like I said, the ending of that part was really great. The rest of it was solid. It was giving me a good smile on my face. But oh gosh, the text part and the Ino part were just too good. Really fantastic start. Really fantastic premiere for the season. Really does have me hyped for the rest of it. Like I said before, I kind of cooled down and I think that I'm overhyping it. And then I'm like, let's go back in here. It's probably not as good as I remember it being. And it just hits me. And I go, yeah, that's right. This series is just too golden. And yes, it's also definitely has to do with the voice acting. The voice acting is just top notch. They just do a fantastic job. I think Kaguya Shinomiya of all of them she's so good. She's so good. Her reactions and her shocks and her screeches is just so great. The moment that she realized that, yes, she's been giving these read messages back, she's just got this look on her face like, what did I do? It's just so good. Yeah, absolutely loving it. Cannot wait for more. Definitely a fantastic series that I'm just so glad it's back. Definitely recommend it for anybody that still has not watched the other series. I highly recommend, please go back. Start from episode 1, season 1. It is a really great series. It's rom-com just so perfection. And again, the presentation from A1 Pictures and the director and everybody, they do a phenomenal job of, again, making these really simple moments just so grandiose. And again, the narrator, love him to death. He is so good. He is so perfect for this show. Yeah, that's my first impressions of the first episode of Kaguya-sama's Love is War, Ultra Romantic. Cannot wait for this series. So fantastic. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like down below, comment. Let me know what you thought of the series. Are you excited for it to be back? Have you not checked it out yet and you're possibly going to go back and check it? Again, highly recommend it. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Of course, we do coverage of all the shows of the season, do my first impressions on each one. As always, you have reviews, episode by episode impressions on certain shows, also some news coverage, as well as top lists of each year. I think I'm at 2018 right now. Different major topics in the anime industry. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. But I hope you all enjoyed. Additionally, if you want to support us more, we have a Patreon link and a tips link in the description below. We definitely appreciate everybody that supports us, and y'all take care.